Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So we were going to talk about a prediction and give you a lot of examples of some really interesting UAPs, UFOs that are happening right now. But this prediction, supposedly by Cliff High, it's of an alien invasion that's going to be taking place this month. Or something of that sort. Again, a lot of things get distorted and taken out of context. We're pretty familiar with Cliff High. Truly, there's not too many people that we really follow a lot. And we don't really follow Cliff, but we've been familiar with Cliff for 7-8 years. And this is from Truth Poll, and it says the man who made an AI that predicted the 2004 tsunami in Indonesia says there will be an alien invasion on December 3rd in 2024. Cliff High is a computer scientist known for creating a predictive system called predictive linguistics using a software tool called WebBots. He analyzes vast amounts of internet data, particularly focusing on the emotional content of words to forecast future events. He started developing this method in the 90s, been credited with predicting significant events, including the 2004 tsunami in Indonesia. His system works by detecting language patterns that seem to foreshadow significant global shifts, such as political shifts, natural disasters, societal changes. Although not all his predictions have come true, his method has garnered attention for its statistical successes, particularly in predicting major incidents like 9/11. Very interesting. Of course, we have everything coming out right now as far as the reality that we're not alone. And then again, you have on the other side of the fence people that truly don't want to see anything like this, attribute it all to basically fallen angels and Project Bluebeam. Oh, a lot of paradigms are going to be shattered. Again, the realization of all that's happened in the last, 4 years around there, settling in on a lot of people that can't just really accept things. There's so much paradigm busting, paradigm shifting. Right now, it is truly mind-blowing. Before we go on, I want to thank everybody for their support over on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Exclusive videos each week. We did a exclusive 2 days ago, I think, or was it yesterday morning? No, it was yesterday morning at like 4 a.m. And we have another one that's going to be going up there right after this video. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, the reality is without Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to do even close to the videos that we do. This is a video we did before we were ostracized. As you can see, 27,000 views. Now, if we get 10% of that, because of the algorithms, we're doing good. And in fact, we've had videos that are more than 10 times as many views as this before we kind of shattered the paradigm of the system that we're in, because the system doesn't want you shattering the paradigm. It's about controlling the narrative. This video was about multiple things. Again, UFOs, the same sort of subjects we're talking about now, aliens, spirits, angels. Is there a second sun up there? Is there a sun simulator? What's going on? Why are there hundreds of ships surrounding the sun? This was again from 2019, by the way, and this was right before Evolutionary got demonetized. Again, the system is trying to control the flow of the narrative. They cannot hold it back from the public that we're all alone here on planet Earth. And yet they've done a wonderful job in creating all these alternative paradigms to explain things. This is something over San Diego. This person recorded on 11/22. In the last 2 weeks, there has been so much video coming out. It's insane, the amount of video and sightings. You would think that people are being nudged. People are being awakened to the fact that there's a lot of technology out there that blows a lot of people's minds as they're going to be basically introduced to things that are, again, paradigm shattering.
And this takes time. I mean, once you realize that we are not alone on this planet, let's say you've been asleep and you're just now waking up, it can be very, very overwhelming. But the information is out there, and there's many different layers. So I look at this psychologically, people are really going to be going through a lot, and they're going to want to understand. They're going to be very thirsty for information. And really, what's the most important thing people can do for themselves is develop their own discernment. But there is a lot of information we can get off of these things, like this one, for example. The information I got, it is a form of a portal. It's a portal. It's opening, it's moving, it's changing. Another being is going to come through there, has come through there. Very, very interesting videos that are coming out that I am able to read. Not every video am I able to get information on, but this is one that I did. So this was very curious. But then sometimes there are things in the sky that deliberately cloak themselves, and I cannot see them. But this is a lot of fun. I feel this is a good being. I think it's someone's star family is what I believe it is. And they deliberately showed themselves. And this happens a lot, and I get this a lot. So these are just happening more and more and more often. And we even have many of our own family members sending us pictures where they got their own star family in the sky. And it's a beautiful thing. But it can also be terrifying to anyone who's just starting to wake up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here you go. Here's another one. These orbs do not look like human technology. Well, again, there's a big realization to be had. All the information that you need is there. It's all right there. But there's also a lot of disinformation, and there's a lot of indoctrination and belief systems that are so deeply ingrained into people that they just cannot accept a different paradigm. It literally shakes their world to such a degree that, they're in danger of losing their sanity. Not that this is a very sane world at this point in time. Here is somebody shining a light on a UAP, and then others pop up all of a sudden. It's as if they're saying, oh, hey, you noticed us. Hi, we're here too.
And they do that. They do look for recognition. And if you point your attention toward them, many times they'll talk to you. And this is one of those cases that they are speaking back.
Literally, because, again, there are many beings that will adhere to that non-interference point of view. And the reality is, they want to welcome humanity to a new paradigm. Now, this shape-shifting entity recorded out of an airplane window. Now, this, when you feel into it, I don't know. This one just doesn't really feel legit to me. So, again, not everything is aliens. Not everything is mind-blowing technology or even beings themselves. Sure, there is such a thing as technology that can portray holograms up in the sky, that whole Project Bluebeam. But then you have people that, again, they're terrified of the fact that their whole belief system may be completely wrong. So everything to them is Project Bluebeam. Well, again, when you look to the abduction phenomenon, there's an awful lot of people that have been abducted. That have even marks left on them, scars left on them, physical evidence that something happened. And that's not going to be something you could just say, well, it's Project Bluebeam. How about all the cattle mutilations? Is that Project Bluebeam? No. They're laser like precision, and they're taking out organs and glands. And we know what they do with that, because what they do, and we've discussed it many times, is they use that material to create more grays. There are many different types of grays out there as well. This is in South Carolina in the upstate. There's so many things being filmed right now it is time for humanity to know. And I do think, while we might not have a quote unquote alien invasion any day now, I think, give it another 6-7 months and another massive proportion of the population is going to understand that we're not alone. This is, the numbers are changing so drastically right now as to the percentage of people that do believe that there's life out there. The paradigm is shifting. This is in Colombia. The paradigm is shifting as every month that goes by, a few more percentage of people understand, hey, we're not alone. There is something going on here. And when you look closely, the evidence is overwhelming. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of pieces of evidence from the various myths and legends to things that tribes couldn't possibly know. Tribes saying, well, hey, there's actually another sun up there that orbits this particular sun, like when we're talking about the Dogon and the Sirius system. How could they know that a star was there that's not visible? But yet science confirmed it was real, and there is a star there. They knew it. There's information that comes out of the Hindu scriptures that could not have been had without there being some sort of extraterrestrial, alien, interdimensional knowledge shared from much, much higher civilizations. This is Pacifica, California. So, there's so much coming out right now. No, we've never been alone. And the reality is, again, other cultures totally understood this. When you look to all the indigenous people around the globe, they all knew this. People that had a shamanic point of view understood interdimensional beings. The only ones that haven't understood are those that come out of the modern day mainstream belief systems, which have taught them that all that's, just an illusion. It's all the work of fallen angels. And again, the term angel that you're quoting when you're talking fallen angel, it's just messenger. And fallen in what way? Because they came out of the sky down here to earth. And yet there is a reality to the falling in vibration and falling in frequency. So, there is some truth to that in a sense, in that, we are finding ourselves in a construct that is created by lower frequency beings. You can call them demonic in reality. You can call them devils. Yes, it is appropriate in some ways to use those terms, but in other ways, are they from here originally? Ultimately, no, because this planet itself was wiped out as Tiamat and then rebuilt by direct intervention. Direct intervention caused the bringing into being the Earth for life to utilize and explore by what else? Extraterrestrials and higher dimensional beings. They recreated this planet out of the remnants of one that was destroyed in a galactic war. And we do have those stories in the Sumerian tales and other tales. As you see, a pilot captures a side-by-side flight there with another UFO. Just all the times that fighter pilots saw these Foo Fighters that were tailing them. Sure, they're observing. And most of them are drones that are just simply observing. This is a new era that we are entering. And we did leave the Kali Yuga with the eclipse of April 8th, 2024 marked the ending of the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age. And the Dark Age is one in which knowledge is not openly shared and knowledge is hidden from people. And now we're going into the Bronze Age. We're not going directly into the gold per se in these bodies. We are going into the Bronze Age, which just simply means that we understand the bigger picture. We understand we're not alone. Yes, there are extraterrestrials, interdimensionals. There are beings that live inside the earth. There are beings that are living under the oceans, hidden from view most of the time. And, that's the big reveal. Our paradigm shifts.
It does. And, here we have something that looks very, very solid right here in the sky. Tic-tac shape, going slow. I mean, what are we supposed to make of this? This isn't anything that we've been taught in school. This is not, the shape of a airplane in any way. It's not, sure. I mean, it could be a balloon, but I just don't think so. So these are all over the place. And there are some that are very solid, and there are some that are not so solid. This one is something that's very much a triangle shape. And these are the ones that kind of make me nervous, because I do believe that they have a type of radiation that can come with them. I also believe that they are part of our technology along with alien technology, and I wouldn't want to be that close to one. I mean, we've had our own experience with them. So it's really about you and what are you feeling? What do you think they are? And sometimes that takes a little while for you to dig deep and figure it out, because once you do start to wake up, it's like, oh my gosh, I believed this before. What exactly do I believe now? There's a lot of filtering to go through. There's a lot of sifting to go through. So I mean, these beings are very, very interesting, very curious. Now, these look like several little elementals who are dancing, who are playing, who are making themselves known. And since we are in a different age, we are allowed to see some. We are allowed to see some. Now, when are they going to show themselves in common form? When are they going to come to the ground and say, hi, we're from this star system and that star system? I believe when it's safe to do so, when humanity has woken up enough to the point where the love and the heart center and the heart chakra is wide open and there's no longer any trauma, they will be able to come here in common form and announce themselves. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but I know we are on that path, because look how many videos of them that there are out. They are trying to show themselves now in the safest way possible.
Yeah, and you don't have to just bank everything on videos. And again, so many people have had direct experience. I think it's frustrating for the people that don't have direct experience, because the people with direct experience, they have no doubt. They have absolutely no doubt. Like, Cindy and I have absolutely zero doubt about what we're talking about. Zero, none, not even the slightest little bit of doubt. I saw one of our people had asked, what about your kids? What do they believe? Well, my kids have always known that what I know, because they've had direct encounters themselves from a very young age. And my father as well, I've shared that he was brought up 12 years in Catholic school, and he would tell me the nuns would hit him in the head or in the hands with a ruler. They were, or yardstick. They were really tough. It was very, very strict, and he was brought up extremely Catholic. And he was coming from a Native American Hispanic background. So, again, what they do is they take people that had different belief sets, like the Native American, and they drum it out of them. They adopt the mainstream belief sets and paradigms, and they lose touch with their ways. And, he had no doubts about aliens and UFOs, because he would tell me, I've seen them, and he wouldn't tell anybody else, only me. I guess he felt that I was the one to share that with. He didn't tell my sister, he didn't tell my mother, he didn't tell any of our other family members, but he did say, I know, I've seen. And so when we look to things like this, yeah, absolutely, there are certain family lines, bloodlines, DNA lines that are tracked by the extraterrestrial beings, and also some that are tracked by our own CIA, FBI, DOD. You name the intelligence agency, they're also watching certain people because they know who they are from the time they are born, because we incarnate into the same sort of family lines, usually, traditionally. This is an article about a famous Belgian UFO photograph being real. The author was paid a huge sum of money to lie and say that he forged the photo. Again, TR-3Bs and these triangular vehicles, often they are inhabited by regular human military and ETs, both working together. This is, part of, again, the reveal. The deepest part of the deep state is non-human. It's not Homo sapien. Jacques Vallée, I remember reading one of his book back in the 70s or 80s. I forget when, early 80s, late 70s. Again, he did a lot of work in showing how you could look at things like trooping fairies. There is a term called trooping fairies. These are beings that were called fairies, but they really weren't fairies, that would come in groups and sometimes abduct people. The reality is, what we were calling trooping fairies maybe, a couple hundred years ago, in some cases it was greys abducting humans for experiments and obtaining DNA and checking certain levels of certain things in human bodies. And so his mindset was an interesting one, because he tried to explore and show how what we take for a modern UFO phenomenon, some people thinking it started, again in the 40s, either with Roswell or with an agreement with the Greys, again coming from the president. The reality is, no, this system's been in effect for thousands of years. I do think it goes all the way back to the Younger Dryas extinction event as being perhaps the most recent resetting of the system where the dark matrix was put into place. So, that would take us back a good 10,000 years or more. Yeah, absolutely. Yet, he says that he had proof the CIA faked alien abductions as part of psychological warfare, but he wouldn't show it. Now, what you have to realize is ultimately the deepest part of the deep state is humans working with extraterrestrials. That's your real big reveal. So again, the system that's in place, it is spoken clearly about this in many of the myths that are more based in truth than so much of what we're given in our modern mainstream religions. And then we have Phil Schneider, who was saying, well, hey, our military is working with Greys and reptilians. In New Mexico, for instance, that Taos hum, that strange hum, well, it's just military base underground. Yeah, absolutely. And we've had interesting encounters in New Mexico and also in Nevada. And I could tell you for a fact we've encountered very, very interesting dark energies that you don't really want to encounter in both spots. And Phil Schneider, was found mysteriously dead January 16th, 1996, after conducting several controversial lectures throughout the U.S., including Denver, where he covered topics like space defense, black helicopters, railroad cars built with shackles, extraterrestrials, and black budget. Yeah, he claimed to be an ex-government structural engineer who helped build deep underground military bases around the United States, claimed to be one of only 3 people to survive the 1979 incident between Greys and the U.S. military in Dulce, New Mexico underground base. And then he voluntarily retired from the military after he disagreed with their spending, secrecy, and unconstitutional actions. His ex-wife believes that he didn't leave the world voluntarily because he was basically giving away too much So you also have John Mack, Dr. John Mack, who did a whole bunch of books, and he really is a fascinating guy, again, to read into, and a lot of his work is available through Amazon. He would regress people, and he started finding that a lot of people that he regressed in hypnotherapy would have the same experiences of being abducted. That's something you can explain with Project Bluebeam. Again, there's so many different components to this. It's just the abject terror and fear that some people have to realize that we're not alone, and in fact, we might not be the top of the food chain here on planet Earth. It's something that's scary to realize. So yeah, he found a very high percentage of people have had these experiences of abduction. I would venture to guess, if I had to put a number on it, I would say at least 10% of the population has had some sort of abduction experience that doesn't realize it.
Right. I mean, there's a lot going on when it comes to abduction. There's different layers to it. Sometimes they are not meant to be known and understood or heard or even felt. It is very complicated, because with the abduction experience, you can have your physical body right there where it's at, and they can take your energy body and do things to it. Now, sometimes those things are bad and sometimes those things are good. And with my own personal experience, which I've shared a few times, it's very complicated because it takes some serious going within. Now, I don't know with my personal experience how much I was actually supposed to see. I think a good amount of it I was not supposed to see, but I was to have that experience so that I could relate to other people who have the experience, and they know how very, very, very real it can be, and how very traumatizing, and how very to have someone take over your energy body is not a nice thing. But not all of them are supposed to be bad, or not all of them are meant to be bad. Sometimes in your life, you may be chosen to go on a certain path, or it might be time for you to get on your path. And yes, they may have to do some rearrangements to the energy body, and that was what was going on in my case. And I think, I should probably give a whole video to it, because it was quite interesting, and it did take me about a year to unpack and understand, but very quickly I learned that it did have great purpose, and it was a very important experience for me to have, to be able to reach, to be able to be a contactee now at this point, and to release my channeling abilities. So it's something very personal, and it's not always nice, but that doesn't mean it's always bad.
And just to be clear, the fact is, abducted by who or whom? Because some abductions are being done by what we would call reptilians and greys. And then there are others that are not really abductions per se. It might appear to be an abduction. It's actually agreed upon by the higher self. And, you can be having contact with beings of a much higher frequency, benevolent.
Right, definitely having a benevolent experience. It's just in our human body. Anytime something like this happens, it's difficult to perceive, like, how is that to be positive? But in my case, when I look at all the things that happened after my experience, it was all positive. It was all very, very good. It was all to benefit other people. It was all for expansion. So that's where I'm at.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to be really, really clear for people to interject that she's not talking about being abducted by our military or greys or reptilians. Just to be clear, no. I mean, there are other beings like the Galactic Federation and other benevolent ETs out there that will work with us. Arcturians, for instance.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. It took a moment for me to have that experience and then unpack it and realize, okay, this has done nothing but good. Ever since this experience I went through, only good has happened to me. So that's where I'm at with that. So many people might have this experience, and they need to decide. You need to decide. It's what you think inside. And that's where the heavy discernment really needs to come in. So, everything is not always as it appears, but it is up to you to sift through the information and decide for you what it is.
Absolutely. So, it's going to be interesting when people are welcoming new beings to the planet. Some will be able to handle it. Other ones, it might be just like Orson Welles with War of the Worlds, where people are jumping off of bridges and cliffs because they just can't handle this paradigm shift. And, again, I think that this is an acceleration of disclosure. It's got to happen because we are going to have regular interaction with beings that are not from here, open interaction. That's part of the plan for a Dwapara or Bronze Age.
Source bless and namaste.
Source bless, guys. Namaste.